and welcome back to Forbest Academy, and welcome back to day 5 of our AMC 10-12 preparation videos. Today we are going to be breaking down another past paper question and looking at the concepts required to solve this question here. Which of the following numbers is a perfect square? So the first concept I'd like to look at is the idea of a perfect square, a square number. Now, when we have a square number, if we think of one, let's go with 36. The reason it's a perfect square number is because we can square root it to give an integer value. So square root of 36 is 6, therefore 36 is a perfect square. We can also write 36, therefore, as 6 multiplied by 6. But something else we could do with 6 multiplied by 6 is we could actually break that down even further into its factors and get 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2, which we could also write as 3 squared multiplied by 2 squared. So not only is 36 equal to 6 squared, it is also equal to 3 squared multiplied by 2 squared. And this is a fact we're going to be using today. The fact that if we have 2 squared numbers multiplied together, their product must also be a square number. Now, the other concept we need to look at today is this function of a factorial, this exclamation mark. What does that mean as a function? Well, a factorial function is the product of all natural numbers up to that number. So for instance, 5 factorial would be the product of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 4, multiplied by 5. Now we want to see if we can spot any patterns between these numbers and our idea of a perfect square. Now we'll notice that the numerators for all of our answers here are all consecutive numbers. So 14 factorial, 15 factorial, 15 factorial, 16 factorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 5 factorial and 6 factorial and see if we can spot a pattern or something we can use to help us solve this question. So 6 factorial is going to be 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6. And we can see the 6 factorial is the same as 5 factorial, but just then multiplied by 6, which makes sense given how the factorial function works. In fact, if we look at these first 2 sections here, these must both be the same number, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. So if we think of 5 factorial multiplied by 6 factorial, essentially what we've got there is we've got 5 factorial times by 5 factorial and then multiplied by 6. Or if we want to put it a separate way, 5 factorial squared multiplied by 6. So straight away, we've got a link with these factorials to our square numbers. So we're going to apply this concept now to all of our different answers and see if we can find one that's going to give us a perfect square. So just looking at the numerators now, we are going to rewrite those into a square times another number. So for A, we can write that as 14 factorial squared multiplied by 15. For B, we can write that as 15 factorial squared multiplied by 16. For C, we can write it as 16 factorial squared multiplied by 17. And use the same idea for D and for E. 17 factorial squared multiplied by 18, and then 18 factorial squared multiplied by 19. At the moment, we've not got any squares here we can deal with, because remember, we looked at earlier on, a square number multiplied by another square number will give us a square number answer. So none of these, well, we've got 16 here, is a square number, but we need to remember that we also have to divide by 2. So what happens when I divide each of these by 2? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to cancel out that divide by 2 if we can. We'll get a couple of decimals, but that's not too bad. So here we're going to cancel this 2 with the 15, and we're going to change that to 7.5. No square numbers there. Here we're going to cancel the 2 with the 8. 8 isn't a square number, so that doesn't help us. 2 with the 17 is going to give us 8.5. Decimal answer, not what we want. 2 with 18, which is 9. Now 9 is a square number. So for D, 17 factorial, 18 factorial over 2, we can actually write that as 17 factorial squared multiplied by 9, or multiplied by 3 squared. And as we said, 2 squared numbers multiplied together must give us an answer which is a square number. So therefore D must be a perfect square. Thank you very much for watching. This has been our last video of the week. We will be starting again next week with some more breakdowns of AMC 12 past paper questions. Look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment if there are any particular questions you would like me to go through on this channel. I will see you all next week. Thanks for watching.